Hello, I'm Jennifer and welcome to my library. Today we are going to do a chill vibes cozy calm video where how do I describe this? Where I officially bring these books into my library with a little stamp writing my name, and I will also be answering a few bookish questions along the way, so I hope you enjoy this. These are a bunch of my A author books. We're going from Douglas Adams to Paul Auster, or Auster. Let's get started, I think. So my last name is not Fuller, that's not me. I think I'm gonna put my little doodad right here, even though I used to put mine up in the corner like this. I first started this when I was in high school, so that was like 10 plus years ago. Okay, and then I have my little stamp pad, which I'll load up with ink, because it's been a while. Ooh, got a lot of ink on. Oh my god, I have so much ink on my fingers now. Oh, I don't know what to do about that. Ooh, we have a small ink. We have some problems. Okay. And then just put some ink on here. This might be too much. And I'm going to put it down. And there we have our little... I need to wash my hands. I'll be back in a sec. And then I just put the date that the book was read. Read on. Okay, so I read this May 2nd, 2017 to May 7th, 2017. So I'll just say May 20. Oh, okey-dokey. So we have our first book done. I just have to leave it open so that it can dry out a little bit. If you could have dinner with any fictional character, who would it be? Oh, goodness. I have to think about that. Where am I going to put... Oh my god. What is happening? Where did all that come from? This is not chill vibes. I'm marked. I've got the black spot. It's just... I don't really want to get up and wash my hands again, to be perfectly honest. Maybe right here. Do you like to annotate your books or keep them pristine? Well, I'm clearly not keeping my books pristine, but for annotation, I don't really annotate that much. Like in high school, we annotated books. I feel like mostly as proof that we read the book. And I don't mind looking at all the books that I've annotated when I was in school, but I don't sit down and read books with a pen in my hand. If you could visit any fictional world, where would you go? It's also a great question. Let me think about like my favorite places in books. Quite enjoyed the world that was created in the Terraformers, but I read that so recently, so I'm not sure if that's a best answer. Maybe the Ecotopia, in the book Ecotopia, that might be kind of interesting, although some of that was kind of bonkers. That's not my glass. Oh my god. My brain is just gone today. So I read So Long and Thanks for All of the Fish. February 2020. Yeah, this book was kind of this was kind of a sad one. Okay, now we get to Antibodies from Kevin J. Anderson. Here. I should get some more of these. I have Goblins and Whirlwind, but I don't have these other X-Files books, but I love the X-Files. It's one of my favorite TV series. I watched the X-Files a lot when I was in my first year of college, and that paired with Temple Run, I think, is what led to the downfall of my third quarter calculus grade. But that's okay, because I retook it. What is your go-to reading snack or beverage? I don't really eat while I read, but I do like to drink coffee in bed with a book. I love that feeling of like it's kind of like sleeping in, but it's drinking my cup of coffee in bed with my book. If I could do that every day of my life, I think I would be a really happy girl. June 2020. So, do you reread books, or is it a one and done deal with you? I'm definitely trying to reread books more currently. I feel like I'm always just so excited to read something new that I don't give myself the space to pick up something that I'd read before. But I thought, because I read double the reading goal I had for 2023, that I would allow myself and really make it a goal of mine to start rereading more books. So I read this in 2016. It doesn't have a month. Evidently, that was before I was tracking my reading through Goodreads. Okay, The Currents of Space. Guess I'll put myself down here. What is your favorite book to movie adaptation? I think my favorite is Annihilation. I watched the movie first, and I thought it was so beautiful and creative, and I think it elevates the book to just such a beautiful visual level. Okay. I'd really like to pick up some more Asimov as well, because I've only read this Galactic Empire series. I've never read the Foundation series or the Robot series. If you were a book character, what genre would you belong to? I like this question. I think I would belong to the genre of the unsettled woman, more literary genre. Just like discontented, maybe a little bit like convenience store woman, something like that. This year particularly has been quite hard for me. I don't know why. So now we have reached our last book, and that's Timbuktu. I read that this year. This is such a touching and short book. Never read anything else by Paul Auster. June 2023. Okay. I'm gonna go grab some more books. Here are my B's to C's. Not that many people with names that start with B, unfortunately. This book is excellent, by the way. The Eternal Darkness by Robert Ballard. It's about deep sea exploration. It's just a really excellent nonfiction. Are you more drawn to character-driven or plot-driven stories? I feel like I'm a very empathetic person in general, but yeah, I do have a hard time with fictional characters. So I'd say if the plot is interesting, I'm usually pretty into the book. Also, if there's really interesting concepts in the book, I really like that. And if the setting is really strong, I'm also really into that. So, I don't know, I feel like it's not just plot or character. I feel like there's a whole suite of details that are important to me. I think concept is pretty important to me, which is probably why I like sci-fi so much. But I also really like when the story is told with like a very personal perspective, like getting into what the details of the world are in a very personal way is important to me. Who the individual character is and like really diving into the character, I don't think so as much. Maybe just their perspective on what's going on around them. Okay. So, let me put that up here. What's your favorite reading spot in your home or elsewhere? I love to read in my bed. That's probably my favorite spot to read, although sometimes I do fall asleep. In my old house that I rented, we had a sequoia in the backyard and an oak tree, and we had a hammock strung up between the sequoia and the oak tree. And I think at that house that was my favorite place to read. Here I think I quite enjoy reading in my bed. January 2016. Oh, you know what? That might have not actually been January 2016. It might have just been 2016. And I just put January to get 2016 in there. But that's okay. We don't need all of the details. Do you judge books by their covers? How much does cover art influence your choices? I have definitely judged books by their cover art. If I'm buying something that's completely unknown to me, I usually do it based off of the cover art. Yeah, I think I do it a little bit less now because I feel like I know way more authors than I used to, and I know a lot more about what I want to be reading. But I did do a cover buy at a bookstore a couple of weeks ago because I think it had an octopus on the cover, and that made me pick it up and read the back of the book because I'm quite interested in like octopus intelligence. In 2018, June. And then the Halloween tree. This has my name in it. Let me put this to the side with the other books that have my name in it. Yeah, this set of questions has some stuff about like, can you share like your favorite first line, or can you share some memorable quotes? I just don't think that way. I don't really keep things in my brain like that. I do with visuals, however. I have been thinking I really want to get some tattoos of things from books. So for example, there's some illustrations that are like really iconic to me, and one of them would be the snake with an elephant inside of it from The Little Prince. I feel like that's quite memorable. And then there's the some pig web from Charlotte's Web, which I would also quite like. I think those are both pretty important as well. But lines, not so much. When I do see a beautiful line, however, I recognize it and I think about it in the moment. I just don't really lock those things into my brain for a longer term. I feel like this book has such a beautiful name, similar to like The Stars Like Dust, A Closed and Common Orbit. It's just such a beautiful name. Okay, I read this September 2020. It's interesting. I've been noticing that usually my first two has that little curlicue, and then my second two is like flat bottom, but not always. I'm kind of inconsistent with my twos. Oh, I love this book, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I feel like I read this in one day when I was unemployed after college. Alright, this question is, do you prefer reading indoors or outdoors? Generally, I think I prefer reading indoors. And that's just for the consistency of lighting. The lighting outside can be really, really harsh. But when I had that hammock under the shade of those trees, it was a really nice time to read because of the dappled light. I read this July. What's the most intimidating classic novel you've tackled, and did you enjoy it? Wow, that is a wonderful question. Most intimidating. I feel like the most intimidating ones I have not read, because I am intimidated by them. So let me think about what I have read. A lot of them I had to read for high school, I feel like. So, like Jane Eyre. Oh, you know what? I think I have a good answer for this. There's a cat hair on here and I can't get it off, so we're just gonna stamp it onto the page. Oh, it's still on. That's so funny. Try to get that out. There we go. I think perhaps the most intimidating book, classic novel, was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Perhaps. I love From the Earth to the Moon. It's one of my favorites, and so I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea thinking it would be similar, and I did not like it at all. And I wasn't really happy that I'd read that book. Oh, I don't have a finished date for The Man Who Was Thursday. It was sometime when I was in college, because I read this back when I was trying to fall asleep as a stressed out teen. Okay, this is the last book that I have for today, so let's do the last question as well. Do you have a preferred season for reading, and if so, why? I think my preferred season for reading is winter, and that's just because the expectations for like what you can do in winter are limited. So you feel like you're not really dawdling or anything if you read in the middle of winter. It's also a very like warm activity, like you can wear a blanket and that's quite nice. I think the worst season to read is probably spring because of the amount of work that needs to be done to get plants planted in the garden. It's also such a beautiful time to be outside, but it's also a little bit rainy, so it's not the best time to be reading. Okay, I read this in September of 2021. Oh, I did the two very inconsistently this time. Okay, well that is all of the books I'm going to stamp and such. Wow, this is super off-center. Okay, should I get on camera again? I don't know, I'm feeling very weird today. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this type of video and I can do more in the future. I have more books to stamp and put my little name on. Kind of thinking I might want to get a stamp that is custom and has the text and stuff on it already. Let me know, as always, if you have any specific book recommendations that you would like me to provide for you, like, I don't know, a book to read at the top of a mountain or something like that. I'm not going to do any book recommendations today, but I do them quite frequently on this channel. Okay, well, have a great day, and thanks again for watching.